Hello and a very good evening. You're watching the news at 6 with me, Frank Pereira, on Rajya Sabha television. Here are this evening's headlines. Donald Trump, elected as the 45th President of the United States, calls on America to bind the wounds of a divisive campaign and come together as one united people. Congratulations pour in for President-elect Trump. President Pranab Mukherjee and Prime Minister Narendra Modi say India hopes to strengthen bilateral ties with him. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley allays fears on a demonetization move, announces that new 500 and 2,000 rupee notes will be available at banks and post offices from tomorrow. And many opposition parties back Modi government's decision to withdraw 500 and 1,000 rupee notes. Congress cautions against improper implementation. Left and Trinamool Congress say it won't be enough to curb black money. Donald Trump today defeated Hillary Clinton to win one of the most shocking US elections. The victory upset major predictions that gave Clinton various degrees of comfortable leads in their election day predictions. A reality television star, Trump was a political newbie who seemed to rewrite every rule in election campaigning. Shortly after his victory, rival Democrat Hillary Clinton called Trump to congratulate him.
Now it's time for America to bind the wounds of division. Have to get together. To all Republicans and Democrats and independents across this nation, I say it is time for us to come together as one united people. It's time.
The President-elect of the United States of America reaching out to the nation after winning a landmark election. The billionaire Republican candidate defeated a heavily favored Hillary Clinton to end 8 years of Democratic rule.
I've just received a call from Secretary Clinton. She congratulated us, it's about us, on our victory. And I congratulated her and her family on a very, very hard-fought campaign. I mean, she fought very hard.
The wealthy real estate tycoon and former reality TV host rode a wave of anger toward Washington insiders to win the race to the White House. His challenger, Clinton, banked on a gold-plated establishment resume that included stints as a First Lady, US Senator and Secretary of State. Trump comfortably took the battleground states where presidential elections are traditionally decided.
Ours was not a campaign, but rather an incredible and great movement made up of millions of hardworking men and women who love their country and want a better, brighter future for themselves and for their family.
Trump, appearing with his family before cheering supporters in a New York hotel ballroom, said it was time to heal the divisions caused by the campaign and find common ground.
We are going to fix our inner cities and rebuild our highways, bridges, tunnels, airports, schools, hospitals. We're going to rebuild our infrastructure, which will become, by the way, second to none. And we will put millions of our people to work as we rebuild it.
Spelling out his economic plans, Trump claimed he will double US economic growth and embark on a project of renewal.
We will embark upon a project of national growth and renewal. I will harness the creative talents of our people, and we will call upon the best and brightest to leverage their tremendous talent for the benefit of all. It's going to happen. We have a great economic plan. We will double our growth and have the strongest economy anywhere in the world. At the same time, we will get along with all other nations willing to get along with us. We will be.
Trump's win rested on the solid support among a core base of white, non-college educated workers, with his promise to be the greatest jobs president that God ever created. Summing up the election verdict a short while before Trump's victory speech, Hillary Clinton's campaign chairman John Podesta was telling supporters in New York to go home. He said, "We are not going to have anything more to say tonight." Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television. Well, Donald Trump's victory has evoked great expectations in India. While there is no dearth of skepticism as far as his social policies are concerned, politically there might be convergence of views on issues like terrorism. But things will unfold once he assumes office in January next year. But the way he had used Indian symbols, including propaganda material relating himself to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, hints that his initiatives might suit Indian interests in the long run.
Workers of the Kendriya Vikas Party in Nagpur celebrating Donald Trump's victory over Hillary Clinton. They believe Trump will take a tough stand against terrorism, the menace on which India is seeking global support.
ये भारत के संबंध बनाने में काफी योगदान देंगे। उसी प्रकार से अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पे जितनी भी समस्या है उसमें भी हमें चुन के आए हुए राष्ट्राध्यक्ष भारत को सहयोग करेंगे।
But Americans living in India feel Trump's policies will surprise the world.
If he really does want to somehow combat domestic relationships or international relationships with China, that India would be a partner just as it is now. So I think under a Trump or Clinton presidency, India internationally will continue to be a strong strategic partner, both economically and in terms of security for the United States.
President Pranab Mukherjee and Prime Minister Narendra Modi were among the first to greet the new US president. US Ambassador to India Richard Verma also stressed that Indo-US ties are built on shared democratic values and go beyond the friendship of the president and the prime minister.
We are passing on the torch to the next administration in very good shape, and a US-India relationship on a steep ascendancy. And I know that will continue. The gains in the US-India relationship over the decades have been on a bipartisan basis, with Republican and Democratic presidents.
However, there are worries in India about Trump's employment policies. Some are also skeptical about the social policies of the American president-elect, but American diplomats claim Trump's campaign remarks are unlikely to be part of any future policy.
I am quite worried about it. I've been thinking about it. So I'm Muslim, and the scholarship that I went on, it was for Muslims, and the main goal of that scholarship was to bring to create friendship between Muslim and America after 9/11. So I don't really, his views are quite not in favor of Muslims, so I'm quite worried.
The agenda for any new president is going to be large and complicated, but I also have a great deal of faith in the way our system of government works.
In the final analysis, Trump's efforts to strengthen American manufacturing capacities may work in Indian entrepreneurs' favor. His promise to attract genuine talent may also help Indian students. The coming days will reveal the Trump impact on the Indian IT sector and his stand on the H-1B visa.
Trump winning the election will hardly impact India-America relationship, or rather it will become stronger. There are two reasons. One, Indians living in America are very disciplined and they have created credibility for us. And second thing, India is the largest open market in the world and Trump cannot ignore it. Akhilesh Soman for Rajya Sabha Television with camera person Raj Thakur in Delhi.
Meanwhile, congratulations poured in from across the world on Wednesday as Donald Trump inched towards his election victory. Russian President Vladimir Putin and Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe congratulated Trump on his victory. China said it hoped for healthy and stable relations with the new US president-elect, while Germany warned against underestimating Trump's win. Here's more.
Congratulatory messages poured in from across the world on Wednesday as Donald Trump inched towards his election victory. In his congratulatory telegram to Trump, Russian President Vladimir Putin expressed hope for mutual work in bringing US-Russia relations out of their critical condition. Japan said it will look forward to work with future US President Donald Trump.
次期大統領ともですね、世界のさまざまな課題に共に協力して取り組んでいきたいと思います。一緒に仕事することを楽しみに。
China said it hoped for healthy and stable relations with the new US president-elect, while Germany warned against underestimating Trump's win.
在这同美国新一届政府共同努力，推动中美关系持续健康稳定发展，造福两国和世界人民。
Amerika hat gewählt und die Bedeutung des Wahlausgangs auch für uns ist überhaupt nicht zu unterschätzen. Das Ergebnis ist anders, als die meisten in Deutschland sich das gewünscht haben.
Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan hoped that Trump's victory would lead to positive steps for the Middle East and for basic rights and freedoms across the world.
Amerika halkının bu tercihi dünyaya gerek temel hak ve özgürlükler noktasında, gerek demokrasi noktasında, gerekse bölgemizdeki gelişmeler noktasında hayırlı adımların atılmasına vesile olur.
NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said a strong NATO was in the interest of the United States, while European Parliament President Martin Schulz too expressed hopes for a rational cooperation.
US leadership is as important as ever. Our alliance has brought together America's closest friends in times of peace and of conflict for almost 70 years. A strong NATO is good for the United States, and it is good for Europe.
It will not be easy because during the election campaign we heard some elements of protectionism, also some worrying words about women, about minorities. But my experience is also that election campaigns are different from the real politics during a term of a president, and so I hope that we will get back to a rational cooperation.
Hollywood celebrities, however, expressed shock over Trump's surprise win over Clinton. Many celebrities had openly backed Clinton, and they took to social media to share their despair. Trump, a former reality star who has hosted The Apprentice, swept Clinton in battleground states like Florida, North Carolina, and Ohio. Bureau Report, Rajya TV.
Meanwhile, global markets were rocked on Wednesday by Donald Trump's victory in the United States election, but recovered from their worst fall as the president-elect made conciliatory remarks in the victory speech. As the scale of Trump's success became clear, Asian stocks fell sharply, the dollar weakened, and gold prices rallied as investors raced for cover amid anxiety about his economic policies. The rout in Asia looked likely to continue in Europe, but despite large initial declines, the slide was less than feared. The FTSE 100 index slumped 147 points as London markets opened, a fall that was projected to be considerably bigger at more than 230 points until Trump took to the stage in New York. In Germany, the DAX was down 1.45% and France's CAC has lost around 1.5%, both well off their lows. Earlier, Japan's stock market index had tumbled 919 points and the dollar fell 3% against the yen as investors digested the implications of Trump's presidency, which stunned investors who had been banking on Hillary Clinton winning the race for the White House. The Mexican peso suffered its biggest decline in more than 2 decades on fears that Trump will embark on protectionist measures that would damage its relationship with America's third largest trading partner. Let's now get you a roundup of the other international news and global buzz. The Syrian army said that it had taken a strategic district of Aleppo in what would mark the most important advance in the divided city by Damascus and its allies in weeks. However, rebels said that the battle was not over. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said government forces and their allies had seized full control of 1,070 apartments, calling it the most significant gain by the government in Aleppo since September. But officials and rebel groups fighting in Aleppo said insurgent forces were still trying to fight back. Libyan forces have conducted operations against Islamic State in their holdout positions in the Sirte on Tuesday. It's their final phase to seize the coastal city from the Islamic State. The United States' special envoy to the coalition against Islamic State said that the jihadist group has been defeated in Sirte, with remaining holdouts clinging to a small patch of land. Islamic State took full control of Sirte, a city of some 80,000 inhabitants, in early 2015. The loss would leave the jihadist group without any territorial control in Libya. Sharbat Gula, the Afghan woman who was immortalized on a National Geographic cover, was deported by Pakistani officials early on Wednesday to her war-torn homeland following a brief period of detention for using fraudulent identity papers. She was discharged from hospital where, after being treated for hepatitis C, and taken to the border overnight. Well, it's time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The sacred relics of Buddha were unearthed in Piprava in Uttar Pradesh. Buddhist monks from all over the world visit the National Museum to pay their respects. These charred bone fragments of Buddha are housed in the gold canopy gifted by the royal family of Thailand.
Tales that inspire. Stories of social change. A salute to diversity. Promoting public discourse. Events that motivate. Inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, the government's decision to demonetize currency notes of 500 and 1,000 denomination has met with mixed response from the opposition parties. While most political parties welcomed this move, they also cautioned against the negative impact from improper implementation. Some also questioned its effectiveness in curbing the menace of black money.
Opposition parties including Congress, the JDU, RJD and the NCP have all supported the Modi government's decision to withdraw currency notes of 500 and 1,000 rupee denomination. However, the Congress has expressed doubts on the effective implementation of this decision.
We agree that the objectives are sound. We will have to wait and see how far those objectives are achieved.
केंद्र सरकार के इस निर्णय का मैं स्वागत करता हूं और इसका समर्थन भी करता हूं। शुरुआती दौर में लोगों को थोड़ी परेशानी होगी, है स्वाभाविक, लेकिन कुल मिलाकर इसका लाभ ही होगा।
काला धन के मामले में कोई भी फैसला होगा, हम लोग उसके साथ होंगे, लेकिन इसकी उचित व्यवस्था भी होनी चाहिए जो आम।
The Trinamool Congress opposed the government's decision, calling it an effort to cover up its failure to recover black money. The CPM also expressed doubts on the effectiveness of the scheme in curbing black money.
The Prime Minister has promised bringing black money back from foreign accounts. All those promises were made before elections. None of those promises have been kept. Now, instead of bringing back money from illegal accounts abroad, this is putting the common man under pressure. This has not at all been well thought out.
Government to demonetize rupees 500 and 1,000 rupee notes is not going to be any effective step to unearth black money. It's more a political posture adopted by the Prime Minister.
On Tuesday, the Prime Minister announced the government's decision to demonetize currency notes of 500 and 1,000 rupee. This is the second time that any government has attempted such a move in independent India. With Panchanan Mishra, Vishal Dahiya, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, a day after he announced the ban on 500 and 1000 rupee notes, Prime Minister Narendra Modi today urged the nation to work collectively to create a prosperous country. The government also clarified that deposits of the now defunct old 500 and 1000 rupee currency notes in bank accounts will not enjoy immunity from tax, and that tax laws will apply on the source of such money. Meanwhile, banks have announced that they will be open on Saturday and Sunday to cope with the rush of people who wish to change their currency notes.
वर्तमान में जारी 500 रुपए और 1000 रुपए के करेंसी नोट लीगल टेंडर नहीं रहेंगे.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's move to demonetize 500 and 1000 rupee notes is being hailed as a strike against hoarding of black money, corruption and counterfeit currency. The Prime Minister tweeted that the country has to work shoulder to shoulder and create a prosperous, inclusive and corruption-free India. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley said that the first 1 or 2 weeks may see fewer currency note replacements, but things will improve thereafter. Jaitley insisted that the move will make transactions digital and cashless, while allaying fears that housewives and farmers with genuine savings need not worry about depositing cash in bank accounts.
जिसके पास घर में छोटी सी मात्रा का कैश रहता है, खर्चे के लिए लोग बैंक से विड्रॉ करते हैं या अपनी सेविंग्स में से रखते हैं, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, वो जाकर बैंक में जाकर एक्सचेंज कर सकते हैं. पहले 1-2 सप्ताह थोड़ा कम संख्या मिलेगी, जैसे ही करेंसी अधिक मात्रा में सामने आएगी और अगले 3-4 सप्ताह में एकदम रिप्लेसमेंट करेंसी पूरी बाजार के अंदर होगी.
The government has assured that the decision will benefit everyone in the long term. It also maintained that people who accumulated black money, crime money or bribes will suffer, even as the parallel economy will shrink. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, the government's decision to demonetize the 500 and 1000 rupee notes is also aimed to bring billions of cash in unaccounted wealth into mainstream economy. The move has, however, evoked mixed reaction among the public as well. Let's take a look.
The government's crackdown on black money comes in an economy where nearly 40% is driven by small and medium-sized enterprises that largely run on cash transactions. Experts feel there will be a short-term pain and chaos for the working class, small businesses and people who deal with cash on a daily basis.
The fact remains is Indian population does not have access to the banking. Less than 50% people have an access to the banking. Maybe the agriculturists in the rural area, maybe the common man, etc., those are going to have some difficulty.
The industry, however, is optimistic that demonetization move will curb unaccounted for cash in the economy.
We think that over time, it will actually improve the economy. Over time, it will lead to all transactions becoming transparent and nationwide, and that's a very good move.
In the past 5 years, circulation of all currency notes grew 40%. The growth in 500 and 1000 rupee notes were even steeper. 500 rupee notes grew 76% between 2011 and 16, while 1000 rupee notes rose by 109%. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, people faced hardships in procuring essential items and using public transport. Petrol pumps were flooded with the harried consumers. Daily wage earners and casual low-income group workers were the worst affected as they struggled to make transactions.
जब से ये वो हुआ है तो वो वापसी देने आ रहे हैं 1000 के 500 के नोट. हम किसी से ब्याज पे लाए थे, उन्होंने हमें 1000 के दिए थे, 500 के दिए. अब जो भी सामान लेने जाते हैं मना कर देते हैं कि भाई ये सामान नहीं मिलेगा.
मैं सुबह गई मेहंदी वालों को बोलने गई, 1000-500 के नोट ले गई, उसने नहीं लिए. कहने लगा आंटी 100 के नोट दोगे तो मैं आऊँगा, नहीं तो नहीं आऊँगा.
कीवी लेने गया था, जसप्री लेने गया था, तो उसने मना कर दिया कि मैं पेमेंट नहीं लूँगा, 500 के नोट लूज चाहिए मेरे को, 100 के नोट चाहिए.
अब हम 500 रुपये दिए हैं, अब उनके बाद खुले नहीं हो, कह रहे हैं वापस ले जाओ पैसे.
खुले हमारे पास ही नहीं आ रहा तो हम कहाँ से देंगे. सब आ रहे जो 500 1000 का ला रहे, हमारे पास आएगा जब तो हम आगे देंगे.
अगर कस्टमर ही हमें चेंज नहीं देंगे तो हम कस्टमर को कहाँ से देंगे. अब 1000-500 का नोट के दिया पेट्रोल पंप पर चलेगा, हर आदमी 1000-500 का ही लेकर आ रहा है, तो हमारे पास चेंज नहीं, हम कहाँ से देंगे. बैंक बंद है, ATM बंद है, सब बंद है, तो ये परेशानी सबके साथ में आ रही है.
Moving on, now gold prices today shot up to 3-year high of 31,750 rupees per 10 grams following the government's scrapping of high denomination notes to curb black money and Donald Trump's victory in the United States presidential election. Experts say that the government's strike on black money will push many towards gold.
The government's decision to ban the old 500 and 1000 rupee notes has boosted the demand for gold. Experts said jewelers will face some problems as 70 to 75% of jewelers are unorganized. However, 25% of the organized jewelers contribute over 80% to the business.
Somebody has gold to sell, and if he sells today against this kind of money, tomorrow he can deposit in the bank and it is all right for him. That is why the prices of gold has increased, because this is a sudden demand into gold. Gold is the commodity which can give this solution very swiftly for the time being.
Investors have also been diverting funds to bullion from stock markets. On anxious selling, Sensex ended 338.61 points down at 27,252.53, while Nifty fell 111.55 points to end at 8,432. India is the world's largest gold consumer, and gold imports are a sizable chunk of its total annual consumption of around 900 to 1,000 tons. And the global and local developments may fuel more demands of the yellow metal. Kriti Mishra's report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Moving on to some other news now, another army Jawan who got injured in Pakistani shelling in Nowshera sector on Tuesday succumbed to his injuries today. 4 other soldiers were injured in the overnight ceasefire violation by Pak Rangers along the line of control in Nowshera sector. On Tuesday, 1 Jawan was killed and 2 others injured in the same sector as Pakistani troops targeted Indian posts and civilian areas along the border. Ever since the Indian Army carried out surgical strikes on terror launch pads in POK, there have been more than 100 ceasefire violations by Pakistan along the line of control. India has lodged a strong protest with Pakistan against the increasing violations. The Pak Deputy High Commissioner was summoned today against the unprovoked firing by Pakistani Rangers, which India says is primarily to give cover to infiltrators. Let's now get you a roundup of the other national news and nationwide. Normal life in Kashmir remained disrupted for the 124th day amid a separatist shutdown. At least 80 civilians have been killed and over 6,000 wounded in over 3 months of clashes between protesters and security forces. Following the killing of Hizbul militant Burhan Wani in July, separatists have repeatedly extended their shutdown call by issuing protest calendars every Wednesday. The latest protest calendar is expected to be issued later in the day. Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar on Wednesday began his Nishchay Yatra from West Champaran district. The Yatra is associated with Mahatma Gandhi's concept of non-alignment to review the ongoing development programs. He will be visiting rural Bihar, spread over 38 districts, to get a direct feedback from the people regarding the 7 resolutions planned for the development of the state. RJD MLA Raj Ballabh Yadav on Wednesday surrendered before a court in Bihar's Nalanda district. The move comes a day after the Supreme Court cancelled his bail in connection with a rape case of a minor girl. The MLA from Nawada Assembly constituency was suspended by the RJD after he was booked in the rape case. He had surrendered in March after evading arrest for a month. And finally, some cricket now, where England consolidated their first innings on day 1 of the first cricket test against India at Rajkot. Indian bowlers were made to toil as England began their campaign on a promising note, riding on star batsman Joe Root's 11th century to finish the day at a solid 311 for 4. Root's maiden ton on the Indian soil was laced with 1 6 and 11 fours, while Ali struck 9 boundaries. The duo shared 179 runs for the 4th wicket to bail England out from a tricky 102 for no loss. For the loss of 3 wickets, I beg your pardon. Ben Stokes was the other unbeaten batsman at stumps. For India, all 3 wickets went to spinners R. Ashwin, who took 2 wickets, while Ravindra Jadeja and Umesh Yadav claimed a wicket each. That's it on this edition of the news at 6. Have a good evening.